The confrontation between the Silver Surfer and Knull unfolds, a callback to their prior clash in Silver Surfer Black. As they prepare to engage once more, the Surfer, rejuvenated to his metallic form by the God of Light, reshapes his cosmic board into a formidable greatsword. Dismissing Knull with a hint of disdain, he underlines his lack of astonishment, highlighting that the God of Light has reemerged and selected a fresh vessel. In response, Knull transforms his symbiotic armor into a more combat-ready configuration, accompanied by a derisive grin. He reminds the Silver Surfer of a fundamental truth that regardless of how far light extends, darkness forever lies in wait. With his necrosword materializing, Knull acknowledges a peculiar admiration for the Silver Surfer. He pledges to grant him a dignified demise, commemorating him as a commendable adversary. A wry smile curves on the Silver Surfer's lips as he counters that he is not confronting Knull alone. With a charge of determination, members from the ranks of the Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four surge forward, united in their advance against the looming threat. Prior to the commencement of the impending battle, Eddie Brock emerges in a Captain Universe manifestation that mirrors Venom, featuring luminous eyes, spider emblems, and patterns reminiscent of constellations. Positioned between Knull and the assemblage of heroes, Eddie asserts his intent to take charge from this point onward. The sight of Eddie alive astonishes Spider-Man. While Knull's reaction involves a malicious grin and a scornful comment about his ancient foe selecting a host that he has already dispatched multiple times. Dismissing Eddie's prospects of triumphing over him, Knull ridicules the notion that Eddie holds. Inwardly, Eddie perceives Knull's arrogance and unwavering belief in his forthcoming victory. Yet, Eddie recognizes that Knull has engaged Venom but has yet to confront the resilience of Eddie Brock himself, the individual synonymous with innumerable resurgences. The unrivaled master of comebacks. Stretching out his hands, Eddie draws Mjolnir and the Silver Surfer's surfboard towards himself, prompting astonishment from Thor. Convinced in his ability to overcome Knull, Eddie melds Mjolnir and the Silver Surfer's board into a battle axe that mirrors Venom's iconic spider emblem. With determination, Eddie propels himself at Knull, who narrowly dodges and departs with an enraged snarl. In pursuit of Knull, Eddie's actions leave Cyclops incredulously questioning the validity of his observations. He seeks clarification from Captain America and Captain Marvel, only to receive a directive to focus as a throng of symbiote-controlled civilians charges toward them. Facing a swarm of symbiote dragons, Eddie contemplates that Knull is showing signs of fear, resorting to desperate tactics in order to escape. As the symbiote dragons close in, Eddie effortlessly dispatches them with his axe, finding enjoyment in the process. He calls out to Knull, urging him to cease hiding and bring the confrontation to an end. In response, Knull wields his necrosword menacingly, growling that if Eddie desires death, then all black, the symbiote-infused sword, will grant his wish. Casually catching Knull's necrosword, Eddie annihilates it and seizes Knull by the throat. With a powerful thrust, he hurls the dark deity through a building's wall. Preparing to decapitate Knull, Eddie is met with defiance, as Knull claims that Eddie is ignorant of true darkness. Suddenly, Knull activates a symbiote-controlled celestial, prompting Thor and other heroes to react with shock and attempt to intervene. Swiftly avoiding the celestial's energy attack, Eddie beheads the colossal being in a single strike before pursuing the retreating Knull. This action leads Eddie past Spider-Man, who grumbles about his distaste for symbiotes, but wears a faint smile. Upon the Empire State Building's pinnacle, Eddie recalls the anguish and terror he experienced when Knull forcibly separated him from the Venom symbiote in the sewers. Seeking retribution, Eddie forcibly removes Knull's symbiote armor, casting it aside contemptuously. Leaving his axe behind, Eddie takes flight and descends towards the ground. Knull rises, snarling that even in his demise, victory will elude Eddie, for darkness resides within Eddie's son, Dylan. Seizing Knull, Eddie soars into the skies, puncturing the symbiote barrier encompassing Earth. Knull warns of the eternal void and its menacing jaws, but Eddie retorts that he possesses strength as well. Emitting a point-blank burst of divine light from his maw, Eddie confronts Knull's assertion of perpetual darkness and the eventual consumption of all reality. Accepting the possibility that Knull's perspective may hold some truth, Eddie charges into the heart of the sun undeterred. Clutching Knull's throat tightly, Eddie declares his actions to be on behalf of his son, Dylan, as he harnesses the uni-power to dissolve Knull's form into vapor. Emerging from the sun while lowering his mask, Eddie becomes attuned to the voice of the god of light inquiring about his sensations. Mentally, Eddie responds, acknowledging the distant voices calling out to him but remaining unintelligible. As Eddie soars toward Earth, the god of light reveals that these voices emanate from the symbiote hive reveling in their newfound freedom. In the heart of New York, a faction of vampires exults in their conquest before turning their aggression towards Blade. Subdued and immobilized on the ground, Blade steadfastly declines assistance and grins, prompting the vampires to demand the secrets he possesses. As the symbiote-enveloped dome dissipates and the vampires disintegrate under the returning daylight, Blade retorts that he's aware of the current situation. Thor and the Silver Surfer effortlessly restore Eddie's axe into Mjolnir and the board. They acknowledge that even though the battle concludes, the world's state of affairs is destined to remain forever altered. Eddie touches down amidst the gathered heroes, with Spider-Man inquiring about Knull's demise. Eddie confirms the essence of that assessment, prompting a relieved reaction from Spider-Man, who believes the ordeal is finally concluded. However, Eddie's attention shifts as he notices his son Dylan, and he realizes that closure hasn't arrived just yet. Observing Dylan with eyes tainted by swirling black and red, Eddie witnesses him in agony. Approaching Dylan and inquiring about his distress, Eddie receives a heartfelt embrace, and Dylan confesses that Knull resides within him, striving to dominate his being. With his hand aglow in divine luminance, Eddie thrusts it into Dylan's chest, extracting and subsequently obliterating the symbiote essence that had taken root within him. The uni-power departs from Eddie, conveying that he no longer requires its power or safeguarding, as he has transcended mere humanity. The Venom symbiote reunites with Eddie, inquiring if he senses the transformation. Ensuring Dylan and Spider-Man of his well-being and imminent return, Eddie communicates to the Venom symbiote that he perceives the murmurs of the hive but struggles to comprehend them. Materializing draconic wings, Venom takes flight, accompanied by other symbiotes, and symbiote dragons that are now without hosts. Spider-Man questions the pursuit of Venom, yet Dylan observes that the situation might not be as straightforward. Informing Eddie that the symbiotes converse in their ancient tongue, the Venom symbiote elucidates that since Knull's defeat, Eddie has become the focal point of the hive mind, the deity of the symbiotes, and the ruler known as the King in Black.